Okay, lucky last. I will try to keep you entertained and awake. If nothing else, I will make you hungry. Apologies from Monique Fizo, who couldn't be here with me today. She's been traveling quite extensively overseas. She has entrusted me to represent her and her absolutely amazing work. I really hope I can do it justice. If she asks, say yes. Okay? Now, we've spent the past couple days talking about how we can take the products of our land and add value to them and export them to get top dollar. And we know how important it is in terms of the whole agricultural, food production, agribusiness sector to the New Zealand economy. But what I'm going to talk about now, hopefully within time, is actually the largest export sector in New Zealand, and that's tourism. And what tourism does is it gets the market and it brings it to New Zealand to consume our land as the product. And just because everyone's been throwing numbers around, I thought I'd throw some around too. Last year there were about 1.2 billion international tourists, and this year in New Zealand we'll hit somewhere around the 4 million mark. And guess what every single one of those people do? That's right. Every single tourist eats, probably more than 2 or 3 times a day. And in fact, it's a growing sector. People are starting to travel to eat, and they're seeking out experiences to eat and get more deeply into the destination. Eating is consistently ranked as one of the top things to do when you travel, and on average, 14 to 24% of total expenditures on food. And in fact, I've done some recent research where it was in excess of 30%. So people are dropping a lot of money on eating. We haven't talked a lot about eating over the past couple days. Food isn't just something to eat. It's not just about nourishment. If it was just about nourishment, we'd feed. That's what animals do. Food is about society, it's about history, it's about culture, it's about people, it's about land. We eat, and that's what makes us different. And that's what these tourists are wanting to do more and more. They want to eat. They don't just want to feed. They want to touch your culture through what they're consuming. And you have an amazing example here. I was so excited yesterday, which probably just reflects that I'm really a nerd around food and culture. But you can whakapapa kumara to this region. Do you know what that means? When the first waka arrived in this country, they found a very hostile land. There was no food ready for them. Sure, there was food in the sea. There were terrestrial animals, but they had to work jolly hard to get that food. And the plants, first of all, lots of them would kill you. Lots of trial and error around that one. And you had to forage. So they had to hunt and gather. But they brought that kumara, which you cultivate. And when you put something in the land and you care for it, you build a community around it. So you build a village. Then you shape your landscape. Then you shape your culture. You shape your society. And you start establishing an economy. All because one of your forebears stepped off the waka with a kumara. That's a story. And there's only one place you can tell that, and it's here. And if you want to know about disruption, potatoes. But that is another story for another day. Okay. Now, everyone from the World Tourism Organization has recognized that food is playing an incredibly important part of tourism. As tourism grows and we get more and more people traveling, more people are seeking a deeper and more authentic experience. There is nothing more authentic than food. It comes from the land. It makes all of us who we are. Like I said, it shapes our history, our society, our culture, our economy. And there's only one place you can taste real New Zealand food from New Zealand land, and it's here. You can grow rocket apple in America and say it's a New Zealand apple, but it's not of our land. It's not our rain, it's not our soil, it's not our air. It's not our apple. Only rocket apple grown here is our apple. And what the World Tourism Organization is saying, we have to take that and translate it into what we're doing in tourism. That's our landscape. And we sell New Zealand on the idea of our landscape, our land. And we've got one of the most successful advertising campaigns in the world. It's a multiple award winner, 100% pure New Zealand, meaning it's all about New Zealand. It's this idea of green, but it's also about the idea that you can only get it here. 100% pure. In fact, it's so well known, we don't even need to put it there anymore, and people recognize that it's about New Zealand and our land. And here's just a screenshot of what you can see in the Tourism New Zealand Library of Images. Sea, mountains, forests, sea, mountains, forest, tiny bit of culture, sea, mountains, forest. Did you see any food? No, you didn't, did you? Closest we got was some balloon flying over a paddock. Okay, so what is New Zealand cuisine? This is what Tourism New Zealand thinks it is. Seafood, lamb, honey, sweets and lollies, I don't get that. Dessert, cheese and wine, fish and chips. Remember the fish and chips, that comes up a lot. This is from the Tourism New Zealand website. Apparently it's not all fish and chips. We have some quirky habits. We say tea instead of dinner. A long black is a black coffee. Apparently we drink flat whites. Nothing else with milk, just flat whites. Barbecue, it's not just all about Australia or South Africa, apparently. And the last one I really love, this is very important for the tourists to know, we call cotton candy fairy floss. Huh? Isn't that inspiring? I'm going to travel to New Zealand and enjoy some of this very interesting cuisine. Here we go, more landscape. Now, that apparently was about our food and wine. You probably didn't notice because you saw the beautiful Kaikoura Ranges, Kaikoura Harbour, which is about our landscape, but apparently that's really big with the Indian market because it shows what a New Zealand food and wine experience is. Let's look at it again. What are they eating? Yeah, about 5 loaves of it. Are they drinking any wine? No, water in some flask of indeterminable liquid. There's some grapes, I think, sitting on that platter, probably not from New Zealand. Now, what does Kaikoura mean? Crayfish, eat crayfish. What's Kaikoura known for? Crayfish, seafood. It's smack between 2 of the best wine-growing regions in the South Island. They have an amazing artisanal cheese industry, and they grow some fantastic beef and sheep meat. And what are they eating? Bread and water. Okay, can you see where I'm going? We've got a problem. Here's another one from the Tourism New Zealand Library. They're in Queenstown eating fish and chips, squid rings. When's the last time you caught a squid in Lake Wakatipu? Okay? Remember, I said remember the fish and chips. So what is New Zealand cuisine? Is it just seafood? Comes up a lot. Roast lamb dinner. Maybe honey, boil up, some reina, pavlova. This is all off of a site telling us what New Zealand food is, by the way. Fish and chips, comes up again. Sausage and barbecue. Depends which way you put the sausage on the bread, apparently. A pie. Bring a plate. I love that one because if you ask anyone, I had a group of German students a few weeks ago and I said, if you go to a function in New Zealand, they say, bring a plate. What would you bring? And they said, a plate. I said, no, no. So that is a bit quintessentially Kiwi. Maybe it's whitebait. But we import more whitebait from China than we produce in New Zealand nowadays. Or, and this has come up a lot the past 2 days, is our food actually about our values? Because if you look at all of that food, other than honey, reina, it all comes from somewhere else. It's not ours. Our food is about our values. Katiaki, integrity, resourcefulness, and of course manakitanga, which underpins all of that. But if we start with those core values and build on that, then we have something, because the kai comes from our land, in combination with those values, we have something that cannot be had anywhere else in the world. And if we serve it with our traditional hospitality, we do it in a way that no one else can do. And tourists will pay for that. And they will pay a lot of money for that. So, on to Monique. Because Monique is one of the best examples of this. Monique spent she's born and bred in New Zealand, grew up in the hut, Poiroo actually, and did a cookery training down in Wellington, spent 7-8 years overseas working in top restaurants, absolutely top restaurants, working with other people's product. And the pull of her culture was so strong that she decided to come home and explore her cultural identity through her food. And she is one of the most talented young chefs I've seen come along in a long time, and I've seen a lot of young chefs. And she has started an outfit called Hiakai. She doesn't have a restaurant. She has 2 canvas tents that she's been traveling around the country with, putting them up in paddocks and serving the food of that land in those tents in a way that no one else can other than here. And she's interpreting her culture through the food. Just a little bit about Hiakai just shows you how entrenched and ingrained the cultural perspective is in what she's doing. And this is a pop-up that I went to earlier this year, and this was on a farm in North Canterbury, and about 45 minutes north of Christchurch. All of a sudden you come into this paddock and there's these 2 extraordinary canvas tents sitting in the paddock. One is the kitchen, or the prep area, because she's got a honey and she's got an open fire, and the other one is the restaurant, and there's a round table that seats 10. And you don't know who else is going to be there. You go with whoever you booked with, and whoever you get, you get. And it's entirely lit by candles and a couple strings of fairy lights. People use the word magic. This is truly, truly magic. You walk into an experience that you could never have anywhere else. And that was the menu on the night. But she did something different with the menu when we actually got there. Now, this is Monique. That's her sort of profile, professional picture. I've never seen her look like that. This is what I usually see her look like, not always leaning over the honey digging it up, but always wearing a plaid shirt. I wouldn't recognize her without the plaid shirt. She harvested that flax, the Tairāwhiti herself, and she wove those baskets. She had a bit of help digging the honey, but she's turning out haute cuisine in a honey and over an open fire. This is the honey. We didn't have the pork or the lamb or whatever she originally said. It was pigeon, not caribou. But if you want to talk about farming endangered species to save them, find me at dinner. But it's pigeon caught on the farm. Clams from the beach next to the farm. Oysters with provenance, they have a story. And honey pudding and the best fermented corn I've ever had. People are scared of it, but if you cover it in sugar and freeze it, it's great. We've both engaged with an outfit called Eat New Zealand, which is trying to promote these values and the food of our land. And if you're interested in doing this yourself here, I highly encourage you to get in touch, either with me or with Eat, and they can help you. But it's time to, let's use the 100% New Zealand image, but let's take it further. Let's really tell a story through our food, the thing that no one else can do. It's our unique food products and our food culture. It's hitting all of the trends overseas. This is what people want to see. But I always say, let's put the culture into the agriculture. And if the book from Massey, I got a chapter called that in that book. Why the book? So let's take it beyond just production. Let's stop thinking about just adding value to make more money. Let's promote a cuisine that's as distinctive as the landscape that it comes from, because only we can do that. And let's see our cuisine as a major cultural celebration, not something that we're embarrassed by, but something that we are celebrating and we're proud of. And so just to finish off, I promise it's just 2 minutes long if I can make it go. Yeah, just so you can see Monique in action.
Hiakai translates to hungry in Māori, and that sort of resonated with me because I'm just constantly hungry to learn things. And when I started it, all I really wanted to do was to try and make Māori cuisine look fine dining and taste fine dining.
Monique is incredible. She's a driven, passionate, determined young woman who is really inspired by the idea of bringing traditional Māori cuisine into a format that could be served in the best restaurants in the world. I think that Monique's philosophy is really about authenticity and about taking things back to the way that they were, where we were much more connected with our food. And I don't think there's anything more grounded than putting food in the earth. So that's a really beautiful way to make a connection with a piece of land. The feedback from the diners has been best night of my life, changed the world, changed my life. Yeah, incredible stuff, really meaningful and really grounded. And I think people want that now, you know, they want that connection, they want that experience that's really meaningful, and this absolutely delivers that for them.
Quite a number of guests at the end of it just say, that was a real revelation, and that feels really good when people say that, because I'm like, okay, you get it. There is an interest, you know, people are interested in Māori cuisine. It's just somebody needed to start doing it.
But yeah, so hopefully it's inspired some of you. And like I said, Eat New Zealand is a wonderful organization to get involved with. If you want to talk about food and tourism, yeah, I'll keep going all night, so sit next to me at dinner. And thank you very much for your time and interest.